So, ladies and gents, welcome back to a new video. And in this video, we're going to break down the psychology behind high converting or winning B2B thumbnails and why B2B thumbnails are a completely different game than B2C thumbnails. So let's begin. Now, for context, I've generated over $150,000 for my clients directly from YouTube and Instagram organic. As you can see here, this is my client, George Clements, $20,000 from Instagram, $15,000 from YouTube, and more on the back end from the clients he assigned. So let's begin. Now, the first part here you need to understand really is that most thumbnail advice on the internet is built for B2C creators chasing ad revenue. Okay, you cannot really take their advice on thumbnails when it comes to your own thumbnails as a B2B business owners, because it's built for people chasing views. They're chasing these vanity metrics, but you're a B2B business person. Okay, right? You're not chasing clicks, you're not chasing views, you're only chasing really money and booked calls and qualified leads. That's the only thing you're really chasing. And high CTR thumbnails is not what that is. You think, oh, if I can make my thumbnail 5% CTR or 7% or 12%, whatever, I'm gonna get leads. But in reality, that's not how it works. Okay. You should not chase CTR. You should only chase booked calls and qualified leads. If you can get booked calls with 2% CTR, then that means your system is fine. You don't need to change anything. Okay. So their goal is pretty simple. These B2C creators, their goal is pretty simple, is get as many clicks as humanly possible. Wider audiences equals more views and equals more pennies per thousand. Okay. They make more money from getting more clicks, but you don't do that. You're not B2C creator. Now, who is this guide for? This guide is for agency owners using YouTube to book calls, SaaS founders building category awareness and demos, coaches, consultants, and B2B service providers, creators whose monetization is leads, not ad revenue. This is really important. Okay. So let's begin. Now, 90% of your, the time you're going to spend on your thumbnail must be really on the marketing side, the psychology of the click. Okay. And 10% only is the thing you're going to outsource. Okay. So you shouldn't be spending any time on the design. 99% of your time as a business owner who's doing YouTube should be spent on the psychology, the marketing, the the curiosity gaps, the desire loops, the pain points, all that cool shit, which is I'm going to explain now. And the reason is simple. The design is the smallest part of why people click. Okay, a working thumbnail is 90% psychology and 10% design. Psychology is the curiosity gap, the desire loop, the pain it touches, and the promise it makes. Design is just a wrapper that delivers these things in a readable way. Okay, as you can see here, what psychology means for a thumbnail is the curiosity gaps, the question your thumbnail makes the viewer want an answer. The desire loop, the outcome the viewer wants and that you're signaling they will get. The pain it touches, okay? The trust signals, all these cool things, okay? This is all you should spend your time on. You should not be worrying about how pretty your thumbnail is. You should not worry about any of these things. You should just spend your time engineering this marketing. So let's begin. So what are the 5 methods for curiosity gaps? Now, curiosity is the engine of every single fucking click, okay? But not all curiosities are the same. There are 5 distinct methods, and the strongest B2B thumbnails commit to exactly one of them per video. Mixing methods creates bad thumbnails or basically noise, okay? So let's begin. So the first method is result, and then the second one before and after, third one gatekeeping, fourth one is story or a moment, and then novelty. Let's begin. So how to choose a method, how to choose one of these. You use result when you have a strong screenshot outcome. Okay, basically revenue, clients, growth, whatever. As you can see, this one is from Daniel Fazio. As you can see, scale past, and then we have $10,000 per month. This is a result one. Okay, this is a result visual. And then we have the before and after. You only use it when you have a transformation that's visual and dramatic, empty pipeline to backed pipeline. As you can see, this one is from Ben Heath. As you can see, this is the old ads manager, and this is the new one. And it's blurred out. And I'm going to explain why it's blurred out in a moment. But as you can see, this is the old one. Now, this is the same thing. Now, he mixed 2 of these. Okay, you can still mix them. But you should really focus on one. Like, the focus here is just, before and after. But he still used gatekeeping here, as you can see. So you can use 1 or 2, but you shouldn't really try make 2 work at the same time, right? So gatekeeping here, as you can see, the most valuable element is hidden artifact. An email, a script, a pitch deck, whatever. As you can see here, this is an ad and it's blurred out, okay? And it says make this ad. This is curiosity, right? What ad should I make and why this is blurred out? This is all curiosity. Story or a moment. The lesson lives inside a single tense moment. As you can see, this is Charlie Morgan. That's a picture of him working. That's the moment, and it says work 12 hours plus per day. Here, Novelty, you're using familiar tools, Slack, Stripe, Notion in a way that surprises B2B audiences. As you can see, it's a formula here. You have Stripe, you have ChatGPT, and you have confused person. This is all novelty. This is, surprising. Like, what do you mean 6 clients equals 30K per month? Okay. So as you can see, this is novelty. And these really are just the 5 methods you can use to engineer curiosity. Okay, if you really understand this, if this is the only thing you're gonna take out of this video is how to engineer curiosity, you're really gonna make it in B2B, because this is the most important thing, right? You don't need to chase clicks, you just need to chase curiosity that your ideal customer gives a shit about. Okay, because if you just engineer random curiosity, like how Mr. Beast does in his videos, now it's really, you're just attracting random people, right? You need to focus on these. Okay, these specifically, these are the best ones for B2B. So what are these 7 scroll stoppers? What are scroll stoppers anyway? Scroll stoppers are a visual mechanism that makes the eye lock onto your thumbnail in a busy feed. Okay, and there are 7 that work. Most B2B thumbnails should use 1 to 3, never more. Okay, so the first one, which is color contrast, and then the second one, faces and emotions, and then compelling graphics, big numbers and text, and then red arrows and circles, static imagery, and maximalist collag. Okay. Now, quick warning here for targeting executive or founders, you should really avoid maximalist collag and shock faces, because it's so cringe. Like the reason, or let me give an example actually. See Ben Heath. Ben Heath is really targeting just B2B people, and he's making these cringe faces and these, stock images, as you can see. This is extremely stock, and this is so cringe. Look at these faces. Okay, do not do this cringe shit. Look at Daniel Fuzzy. Daniel Fuzzy here is just like this, in all of his thumbnails. It's just no cringy looks to the thumbnail or anything. You just avoid this completely. This is a mistake, okay, in B2B. But really just focus on symbol, emotions, and symbol design. This is the only thing you should focus on. So here, as you can see, so how to choose your scroll stop. So it's a simple framework. Pick one primary stopper that does the heavy lifting, and add at most 2 reinforcing stoppers that support it without competing, right? So what are example combinations that work for B2B? As you can see, big number. This is here we have a big number, and here we have the big text. What is the supporting scroll stopper? It's the landing page, as you can see. What is the secondary scroll stopper? This wheel, this mechanism, right? So you reinforce it also with like the face and emotions and color contrast, as you can see, the colors here, the colors, the face of these things. Okay. Here, compelling graphic, a dashboard. As you can see, a dashboard here. There's another one, and this is compelling graphics, and this like background stuff. As you can, same thing here. Now, this is one is so interesting, because a lot of you will think that the primary element here is these, these funnels, but in reality, it's this. It's this tier list thing, right? This is the primary element here, because if I remove these funnels, okay, if I remove this, you're gonna be able to understand that this video is a tier list video, right? But if I remove this and keep this, let me actually move this. If I remove this and I keep this, you wouldn't really understand. Yeah, you will know it's about funnel, but what would you really understand? You would think, oh, maybe that's a breakdown, whatever. But like, if I only show you this, you're gonna know it's a tier list video. That's why it's a primary element. If I had to remove one element from this thumbnail, it would be this, right? It would be this. And then you support it with the background and the face, right? And then we go into face and emotions. As you can see, reinforce big text label on the side. Copy this, right? Big text here. This is the most, this is the primary element. I can remove these 2 guys, okay, George and the client, and I can just keep this. And it wouldn't perform. Like, I'm not saying it would perform without that. But in reality, this is the most important element, and that's why it takes the biggest space and takes the most attention, right? This is the thing that should take the most attention, and you should redirect the attention to, right? This is the same thing here. That's why we have an arrow going here. That's why we have this. That's why we have this arrow connecting these 2. That's why we have, putting this fucking funnel, the biggest element, pretty much. Same thing why we have this whiteboard here, pretty much the biggest element here, because you should look at it, right? Or ICP should look at it, right? So you should focus on that. Contents, composition, and contrast. If a thumbnail fails in any one of these, it almost certainly underperforms, right? If your thumbnail underperforms, even if you have all these things, if you have all these, if your thumbnail fails on one of these things, you're done. You should remake it, right? So the first one, which is content. So we have contents. What are the contents? It's the actual elements you put in the frame, the face, the screenshot, the numbers, the text overlay. The B2B test for contents is one question. Is each thumbnail or each element either driving the curiosity gap or proving it? If an element does neither, you should delete it, right? So as you can see, like, we can't really remove an element. I said, yeah, there are elements more important than others, but we can't really remove them because everything works in these thumbnails. Everything is so important. What can you remove really from this thumbnail? Like if I delete this, what can you remove? You can remove much. If you remove anything, it's gonna ruin the entire thumbnail, right? There's no bullshit here. We're not putting some random stuff. If I remove anything from this thumbnail, what are you gonna really understand? You're not gonna really understand anything, right? And you should really make your thumbnails like this. You should have a couple of elements that support each other, right? And you can't remove one of them. Composition. How those elements are arranged. There are 3 composition frameworks covered next, which I'm going to cover, right? Composition is the skeleton. Without clean skeleton, all colors and fonts in the world will not save a thumbnail. And then contrast, okay? So let's begin. What are the composition frameworks? You should pick one before you start designing, okay? So the first one, which is symmetrical. Hero in the center, and then you have things around it. And then asymmetrical, okay? Third, you have face here, and then something, element. And then you have A/B. These are really the only 2 or the only 3 ways to make a thumbnail. Let me give you examples. So the hero is this thumbnail. As you can see, that's George in the middle and things around him. The asymmetrical, these are asymmetrical ones. This is asymmetrical. This one is hero design. What is the before and after? Before and after is Ben Heath one, as you can see. So you should really understand and you should really know which composition you're going for. So I already explained it. I don't have to go in details, but you should have a good idea of what composition you're really going for. So what's the anatomy of a winning thumbnail? This is the recipe most high-performing B2B thumbnails follow. Not every winning thumbnail uses every element, but the strongest one almost always combine these 4 pieces deliberately. So the first one, which is a big text, less than 4 words, and then proof element, proofing the text, and then a face, and then high contrast. So how does this work? Let's see. So let me break it down. So for this one, for example, we have a big text and a number and a supporting element and a face and a contrast in the background. Every single one of these thumbnails I've just shown you have gotten at least 7+ CTR. Okay, 7% plus. Okay, which is really good in B2B, right? You don't need more than that in B2B. And this is exactly how you should do it. You should only have these elements in this way. So the big text, 4 or less words, big enough to read on an iPhone-sized thumbnail. The text is not a title, it's just a tagline that adds something the title doesn't say. If the text repeats the title, delete one of them. And you can't really delete the title, right? The second element, the proof element, a recognizable B2B interface, Stripe dashboard, HubSpot pipeline, Slack conversation, Notion page, Calendly screenshot. The brain reads these instantly. This is real, not stage. Okay, this is the single most underused signal on B2B channels. And then the third element, which is the face, a subtle professional emotion, determined, slightly intrigued, quietly confident, whatever, any of these things. Do not use a screaming mouth or whatever, none of that shit, like how Ben Heath does it. This shit is so cringe, not use it in B2B, right? Just make it simple. Okay, tell your thumbnail, hey, make this emotion simple. And if your thumbnail doesn't use AI, you're pretty cook. Element 4, high contrast. Dark background plus bright accent, or light background and dark hero. The contrast tells the eye exactly where to land. This is what makes the thumbnail readable at any feed size. This is a really important one. So let's get into some 5 battle-tested B2B packaging formulas. So the first one, which is really revenue proof. Okay, how I made X and Y days. As you can see here, we have the dashboard, we have the hours, and we have big text. Okay, this is the explanation or the breakdown of this thumbnail. This is the revenue proof. Now the gatekeeper, the cold email that books 10K clients. As you can see here, this one from Ayman Arab, we have 2 videos blurred out and then copy these. This is a gatekeeping thumbnail. The transformation, as you can see, minus $1,000 and then goes into 250,000. Here we have the counter narrative. This really just breaking beliefs, right? Okay. Um, you have paid ads here and it's red, it's like it's wrong, and then booking calls is wrong, and then you have this new things. And here we're combining the gatekeeping one, and then blur it out, and then boom, skyrockets, and then fix this. Then we have the shortcut, right? This is a new thing. Like I think the title of this video was how to close deals in Instagram DMs without needing sales calls, right? This is a new thing. Instagram DMs, and then you have Instagram payouts. So interesting, right? It's a shortcut. Really, what are the biggest mistakes you shouldn't make that kill B2B CTR? So the first one, which is too many words. You should use or aim for 4 words or less, not use more, okay? Just always try to remove stuff. This is really important. And the second mistake, which is generic stock feel imagery, is the one that Ben Heath makes all the fucking time. As you can see, it's extremely generic, right? 2026, and like this picture, it's extremely generic. You see this? Like, this is so bad. Like, look at this arrow. Extremely generic looking arrow. This we don't do this in these thumbnails, right? As you can see, like the arrow looks so different from the ones he has. These dashboard looks like modern stuff. Like, do not use stock imagery for fuck's sake, okay? These look so bad, and also like people do not trust it. And then the title and thumbnail saying the same thing. This is so stupid, right? You're just wasting real estate on the thumbnail, right? The thumbnail and the title, each one of them should add something different, the other doesn't, okay? So the title makes the promise and the thumbnail proves it, or the thumbnail teases the curiosity, the title qualifies who is it for. Shock faces when audience is C-suite. Already explained this, no need to repeat it again. And no clear hero element, right? I couldn't find a bad example for this, but you should really just focus on making your hero elements 1 or 2 hero elements. That's it, okay? Do not make multiple hero elements in the same thumbnail. It looks bad and it, distracts people. And then the last mistake, which is repeating the same template. This is not really a mistake, but this is something you should really focus on, which is not really repeating the same formula. Like, do not make all of your thumbnails like this just because one time you got 12% or 15% CTR on a thumbnail like this. Okay, you need to mix it. You need to mix all of these, styles and these battle tested templates. Okay, you should really test and see what works, and then switch. And now we understand the psychology behind the high converting or high CTR B2B thumbnails. And if you want me to build this entire system for you, and the only thing you'll have to do is to record the videos, we guarantee 10 to 30 qualified sales calls every single month, and 5 to 10 new clients guaranteed, or refund you all your money. You can click the first link in the description and book a call. Or if you want to learn my full YouTube system, you can click the video on the screen right now where I break the entire thing down. And see you in another one.